Let's do that. Let's just look at 32, I guess. So looking at the number of defects per batch of DVDs inspected here.
And this is constructing the probability distribution on excess?
Yeah. So defects. So we can have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So of course you have to put the data in.
You put 2 twice. Is that supposed to be that one?
No, it's not. There we go. Thanks. All right, and then for batches, right? We know how many batches of each. So 95 here, 13, 87, 64, 13, 8. And we'd like to get probabilities for each of these. So that means we're going to need a total. Right, so we need a sum. This equals sum, S-U-M, right?
Did you say so?
Sum command now, hopefully at this point.
Oops, dang. I always do that stupid.
So I know there's total 380 there. And so we can get our probabilities now.
I'll do this guy.
Probabilities. Right. So for each probability, we take the number of batches that had that defect and divide by the total number of batches. Now in order to copy and effectively reuse the same formula, you want to make sure that as you move down here, the formula always refers to the number of batches to the left. But at the same time, always referring to this exact cell here for the total number of batches. So to fix a certain cell in a formula so that it doesn't use the same one, so it does use the same one in each copying version of that formula, you use little dollar signs. So we put a dollar sign.
You following this, right?
Yeah, I'm recording him right now.
The name of the column, which is C,
good.
and then a dollar sign, and then the name of the row, which is 9. Notice C9 is this cell. But the dollar signs in front of the letter and the number tell me that when I copy this, you can change this, right, to correlate with the new place where the output is, but you don't change that value. Otherwise, when you try to copy this down, it's always going to know, say, use this one divided by that one. When you go here, it's going to do this one divided by that, and there's nothing there.
If you highlight that column and drag it down, doesn't it copy and count up all the way down?
Right, so yeah, once we do that, we can just do this once, copy, and then I just go in the corner, see how it turns into a more bold, small cross, and then double click. Notice the sum of the probabilities goes to 1 there.
So you didn't have to like hold
You don't have to
down
drag.
and select and all, you just double click.
Right, yeah. So as soon as you copy, you just get in the corner and you can just double click. Okay, so there's our probabilities. And he knows how to control how many digits these have, right? You just can do this to see if you want more digits or less digits. Round things off.
Yeah, tutorial.
Okay, so what we actually want to do is essentially the same procedure, right? But we don't have to go through all this effort here of going through individual steps and things. So we just try to minimize these things. So one thing I could do is actually the product of the number of defects and the probability. So multiply this times this for each one of those. So this ends up being...
You're going to post that video for all of us, right?
Work. I got you. I don't know how the beginning came out.
You just have to key in the whole formula.
So this is actually the product of the number of defects and the probability of having that defect for each one of those. And what we want to do, of course, is add all those up, right? And so this is actually going to be the mean. So that's the mean value right there, 1.5063.
Can you highlight the formula? Looks like the top of it. Yeah. Just so I can see what you type. You type like equals C3.
So equals, and then I just actually click on the cell rather than type in the cell numbers. So again, you're just referring to the cells. So these numbers here, B and D, that's just what column and what row you're in. and let you know that. So people know how to do the basic stuff with referring to other cells.
Let's see what I did.
So there's probably quicker ways to do this, but
That dollar sign's a big trick.
It's quicker.
yeah,
I can't tell you how many times I just learned about that, but I've been doing these.
right. It's nice. I mean, you could hard code the number in there, but then you have to change that every time that number changes, so that ends up being a pain too. So, yeah.
I mean, hundreds of lines.
Okay. So those are all the same there, and then of course here I just do the sum of all these. Sum, and that gives you the mean. So that's how you can find the mean.
Can I see the formula you did for the probabilities? That's the one I was.
Oh, probabilities?
Yeah, I couldn't. I was trying to duplicate on my
So,
computer and I didn't type my data.
I type equals, and then I pick a cell from the number, right? The number of batches that has that probability, that has that number of defects. And then we do divide by,
Uh-huh.
and then you pick the total. But putting dollar signs in front of the letter and the number allows you to not have to retype that. So that as you copy down, you'll notice that C3 here, it'll be C4 there, C5, C6, C7, C8. That'll always be C9. So see here, it's C4, but it's still C9. So it's always using this one. But as you move down, it's doing this divided by that.
Doesn't it automatically do that when you copy and paste if you do each individual cell?
It'll count
It'll
up.
automatically go from C to D, so you don't have to type in the dollar sign.
It'll go C4 to C10, and then C5 to C11, it'll count up both numbers.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it only knows where things are in relation to where you're at.
Right.
So this is a good one. All right. The last two we probably want to get, right? We want to get variance and standard deviation. So for these, you basically just want to use the formula that we have built in there, and that'd be a better way to do this. I don't know, maybe I have to do it. It's kind of like we have to create the same table. I could jump right to this part of the table, that'd be easier. Right, rather than doing those individual steps. So I could go to that part of the table and then add them all up and get this. But unless there's some other built-in command, then that's the only thing I can think of, so.
So if you go, you can't go into the data analysis like you did earlier, there's no probabilities of variances in that.
Good question.
How
So,
we found, how we went to data analysis and then drop down the box.
I'm going to YouTube, yeah.
I got you, man. I'm gonna put it up there.
The probabilities are not listed in there.
that's not really gonna
I'm putting
get us
this on
to the answers
YouTube.
we're looking for here. So, you can look around for shortcuts to this, and there are for the other distributions, but at least for this one, this is the best thing I think of. It's not really as much work as doing by hand. Anyway, I'm basically copying that last column there. So, it's the last column here. And what is each one of those? It's equal to, we take the value of x here, and we subtract the mean value, which is E9. But E9, of course, we want to fix that. So we do $E, $9. Subtract those, square it. All right, this is exponent in Excel, right? And then multiply that result by the probability. we can go ahead and sum all those up, and this will give us the variance.
Paper. Could you save this somewhere and send it to us or post this?
Yeah, if you want. How do you do square root on Excel? Anybody?
No start me line.
SQRT, right? SQRT, parentheses, and you pick the number you want to take the square root of, and go ahead and take the square root of that. So it's all really easy, right?
If you say so.
Yep. I think by the time.
So if you know what you're doing, that's actually going to be a pretty expedient process.
By the time.
Just trying to break it down to a little slower to show you.